Now that we have some tags logged in the historian, let's look at how we can display the history of those tags on a chart. And for this, we're going to use the EasyChart component. It can be found under the Charts tab of the component palette. It's the first one there. This is a really simple component to configure and to use. Essentially, all we have to do is drag the tags over here in the tag browser that we want to display. You want to make sure you're selecting all the tags that have a scroll icon to the right, making sure that they're logged in the historian. So if I drag these tags on, I'll start seeing the history of those tags right away. The default mode for the graph here is historical. So there's a property down in the bottom left called chart mode, which is either historical or real-time or manual. By being historical, the operator has the ability to change start date, end date. So if I was to go to preview mode here, I can actually change my slider here. I can make it a little smaller to show a smaller amount of data. I can make it larger here to show more data, and certainly I can move it around to change the different time ranges there. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. Once you have data in the graph, you can easily make a box, clicking and making a box to zoom into various areas here. You can zoom out by clicking and holding, dragging up to the top left, letting go. You can right click and change the mode to an X-trace so you can see what the values are at given times. If you're in the zoom, you're zoomed in a little bit, you can right click and pan over the data so you can kind of move back and forth over your data. And you can also mark individual points. Rather than doing X-trace, I can just click on somewhere and mark the closest point to that location there. There's quite a bit you can do just within the component itself. And there's more right-click things here, like you change the background of the component, you can zoom out, you can reset axes, as well as you can print. In the top right, there's a button here to save the data to an Excel spreadsheet. We can print the graph out. We can maximize the viewing area of the graph to remove the start date and end date filter, as well as all the pens. With the pens over here, we can change the colors, and we can actually remove pens if we didn't want them in anymore on the chart. So it's very easy to use this component, and we can just go and drag any tags we want onto it to start displaying the history. Now there's quite a few other properties that we can work with. Going back to that chart mode, I can set that mode to real time so I can look at the most recent, say 5 minutes or whatever time period you have down here at the bottom. So it's a polling graph here that automatically refreshes for us. There's other properties here we're going to look at in other lessons. There's also a customizer on this component. We can right click, go down to customizers. There's this built-in one called EasyChart, which allows us to edit pens and axes and subplots. So I can actually add more pens here by browsing for them, just like I did when I dragged and dropped them onto the chart. I can add calculated pens, I can add axes, and I can add subplots. We're going to look at all these different configuration areas in the next few lessons.